Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who are tuning into these videos. Alright, so the topic of this video is going to be about, this devil right here, Bill Gates. And people already know because, this article here was posted on March 18th, 2020, Year of Prophecy. But as a lot of people already know, is he was speaking about, a digital certificate, with this whole COVID-19 thing, this pandemic. He pretty much is spearheading this system so that we can mitigate this so-called problem. And pretty much I was reading some of his comments. I pretty much found a little bit more information about this RFID chip that's supposed to be for supposedly tracking people if they have whether they have the disease or not. But first I'm gonna read this because this website right here is techchurch.com. Says Bill Gates addresses coronavirus fears and hopes in an AMA and Ask Me Anything on Reddit. So I'm not gonna read. It's pretty much they were tooting his horn, making him seem like he's some great guy. But, this guy's the devil. And the scriptures say, "Never trust thine enemy." So this thing that he's doing isn't really out of the kindness of his own heart. There's something sinister to it. And I'm gonna get to it, but first I'm gonna read this question and his reply. About the AMA that he did on Reddit, speaking about the coronavirus. Alright, so the one person question asked, "What do you think about the current state of testing nationwide?" And this devil said, "The testing in the U.S. is not organized yet. In the next few weeks, I hope the government fixes this by having a website you can go to find out about home testing and kiosks. Things are a bit confused on this right now. In Seattle, the U of W is providing thousands of tests per day, but no one is connected to a national tracking system." So the gist of it, the plan is that once people go to these kiosks, they get checked for the COVID, and then like say they get tested positive for the COVID-19. It would be connected to the Internet of Things, the Beast system, so it would let you know that this person right here, John Doe, is positive for the COVID-19. And then he speaks more about how this digital certificate is going to go about. But he's pretty much saying, once people get checked, it doesn't go to the internet, to the Beast system, so they can track it and keep it a closer eye, on it. And that's why he wants to implement that RFID microchip, because that's pretty much the solution to that problem. Because John Doe can go check it, he can get tested positive for the COVID, and then go home or go to the gym before. And then it's pretty much it was a waste of time for him to check in the first place, because he went out and spread it, and then there's you can't find his footprints of where he went, where he was, this and that. So pretty much the solution to that problem, to mitigate it, is that RFID microchip, because once you get you test for the COVID, you're negative or positive, that RFID chip is going to have pretty much that certificate saying that this person is not infected with the COVID-19, and then where he did it, where he took it, so they could pretty much control the situation, so that the virus doesn't spread. And this other website speaks more about the RFID chip, being the mark of the beast. This is on biohackinfo.com. But I'm just going to read this part of it, the main part. So it says, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates will launch human implantable capsules that have digital certificates, which can show who has been tested for the coronavirus and who has been vaccinated against it. The 64-year-old tech mogul, and currently the second richest person in the world, revealed this yesterday during a Reddit Ask Me Anything session while answering questions on the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. Gates was responding to a question on how businesses will be able to operate while maintaining social distances, yada yada yada. Yeah, but right here it says eventually we will have some digital certificates to show who has recovered or been tested recently, or when we have a vaccine who has received it. So pretty much like a dog, getting chipped. So they could check if he's got rabies or not. They just scan him like he's at a grocery store. A little chihuahua, and the RFID will get picked up, and it'll tell him all the information and how many vaccines he took. Because contrary to popular belief, vaccines are very dangerous, and if you just kept giving your dog the like any sick, like rabies vaccines or whatever, it's gonna die. And that's why they need to keep records of these animals. And then he's talking about humans being the animals, the cattle, the goyim, so that they can keep track, and they can only inject a person one time when they're infected. So jumping down to he speaks about in that thing, he was referring to the quantum dot tattoos, which is still pretty much a device being inserted into your body, whether it be the RFID chip that we all know and see already, or if it's just a different way of them utilizing this. It says right here, it says because these people were digging into his information about this quantum dot tattoo just being the thing for the COVID-19 thing, was actually it's deeper than that. Now, so reading this paragraph, says the quantum dot tattoos will likely be supplemented with Bill Gates' other undertaking called ID 2020, which is an ambitious project by Microsoft to solve the problem of over 1 billion people who live without an officially recognized identity. ID 2020 is solving this through digital identity. Currently, the most feasible way of implementing digital identity is either through smartphones or RFID microchip implants. In smartphones, I can already tell you, that's not the way to mitigate this so-called problem of IDing everybody. Pretty much that's wicked. Putting out a census on numbering the people of the world. Says because people could lose their smartphones. I actually personally, my smartphone was charged last night or like a few nights ago, and I put it down, and then I wake up in the morning, I pick it up, it stopped working. So smartphones are not feasible for this problem. What is feasible is this RFID microchip implant. Because I've already spoken about this in other videos. Is that technology? The way it's designed is that it's always going to be recharged through the heat of your blood. Because of all the material that it's made out of will pretty much siphon the electromagnetic pulses of your blood, so that it'll keep its battery charged. And it's so small that there's not a lot of pieces to it, like a smartphone. It's got a lot of pieces to it. It falls one time, it's gonna break. But that RFID implant, is the end all be all to this wicked person, Esau Edom's society. That's why it's one of the last prophecies before Yahweh Shai returns, and that's why we're getting closer and closer to it. Whether this COVID-19 virus is the one, so to speak. I personally am rooting for it. Because I'm praying for fewer days in this wicked kingdom. This is pretty much just paving the way for the next, pandemic, for the next RFID ID 2020 situation, because all this stuff is going to be on the books. And I got an article here that was posted in 2007, but I'm going to go ahead and finish this real quick. It says the latter will be Gates' likely approach, not only because of feasibility, but sustainability. Because it's the perfect thing. It's the order out of chaos. But also because for over 6 years, the Gates Foundation has been funding another project that incorporates human implantable microchip implants. This project, also spearheaded by MIT, is a birth control microchip implant that will allow women to control contraceptive hormones in their bodies. So anything that these guys put their hands on is for wickedness. Though he comes crouching, you don't trust him. I wanted to point out something. This is the AMA on Reddit. This Bill Gates, he posted. Got a lot of accolades and stuff. Because he's a rich man and he's speaking right now. But it's this person I want to just point out that the user who said this, his name is Remote Controlled User. That just lets me know that this person is a fake. He's a plant. He's an agent. And it took me back to when I used to watch wrestling. And so like if people have grown up watching wrestling, like Stone Cold Steve Austin, WWE and whatnot, you know that there's like phrases and terms and like nicknames for things. Like when a wrestler is bleeding, they call it color. So like when you're watching a show with Ric Flair, and then the like in like the the after review, like the fans will talk about how much color was shown in that fight. Or like how the heel, which is heel, was basically the bad guy. How he's pretty much an asshole and whatnot. But the term for like because wrestling's fake. When the wrestlers go into the crowd and then they go to specifically one person, and they start beating that person up, or that person hands them like a steel chair. See that person in the crowd is actually a plant. Now, you can't just go buy a ticket to a wrestling match and be that guy who hands out steel chairs. That person is a paid for and working undercover wrestler, and he's known as a plant. I'm gonna read this real quick. It says, "A plant is a professional wrestling term for a trained wrestler or actor who poses as a fan, usually seated in the front row of an event. Plants are a good tool for a heel wrestler to gain heat from the crowd. Usually, the plant is an unknown trained wrestler. Note: not all attacks on fans are on plants. Occasionally, a wrestler will start legitimately attacking a real fan. So pretty much, it's an agent, a plant." And with the name like remote controlled user, this lets me know that this question right here was asked by a plant. Bill Gates himself did that. He jumped off of his account, posted this, and then went back onto his other account so he can answer this question. And so he talks about business operations, and then he's talking about it. Then he drops this. It says eventually we'll have some digital certificates to show who has recovered or been tested recently, or when we have a vaccine, who has received it. All right, so this is 2 Corinthians 2, verse 11. It says, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." So this AMA, with this person right here, we're not ignorant of these things. Like I said, I grew up watching wrestling, so this came to me, normal. Like I knew this guy was he was juiced in. He wasn't just some regular guy who actually wanted to ask a question. That guy is bought and paid for, and he's on their side. He has a very specific question too. All right, so I want to bring out this thing. It was on the I don't know exactly what this website is, but it's emergency medicine news, the most trusted news source in emergency medicine. And I guess this was an excerpt from a magazine. See if I can get more information on what this was. That's pretty much it. It was like a magazine. Yeah, but so this magazine, this article that was posted, and it was posted on June 2007, and it says the abstract: radio frequency identification can trace the spread of diseases, track inventory, and most importantly for emergency physicians, make patient histories immediately available. So like I was saying, all this stuff it's already on the books, and it's going to get more pages added onto it, so that like if and when another, and more plagues are coming, mind you, but like I'm just saying, like, if the COVID-19 plague is the one that starts, pushing this wicked decree of implanting everybody with an RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, they're going to have it in the books, just like how they have it here in 2007, and then they're going to have the COVID-19 2020 experience, and how we'd be able to fight against it if it were ever to happen again. So all these things are on the books, for our learning, really, because we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. All right, so I'm just gonna read this real quick. It says, "What is smaller than a pea, made of an unbreakable glass, and contains the power to stop penicillin? It's radio frequency identification in a chip, and this one in particular is embedded in the shoulder of emergency physician John Halmick, MD. Dr. So I can't really pronounce his name. It says Halamka, the chief information officer at Harvard Medical School, considers himself a pretty good test case for the technology. His tiny implant has the ability to protect him from a life-threatening event. It warns of his penicillin allergy. The little disc allows his entire medical records to be instantly accessible in his emergency department, just like how you would if you were to bring your chihuahua to the vet. They got to know, what kind of chihuahua it is, what chihuahua it is, how many vaccines it took, and the elites, so-called Illuminati, the high rankings of Esau's society, the Rothschilds, DuPonts, they see everybody in the world as cattle. We're pretty much just servants unto them, and they want to start chipping us. And as the scriptures say, pretty much once they start, implementing that enterprise of chipping everybody, is when his queendom ends. And I pray that Esau Edom gets off his lazy butt and actually implements this, because I'm praying for fewer days. All right, so it says it isn't just a peace of mind that motivates Dr. Halamka, but the quest to help illustrate the potential of RFID, which can help trace the spread of disease, keep intricate track of inventory, make patient histories more widely and immediately available, while safeguarding privacy, and assist in monitoring patients who are cognitively impaired or otherwise unable to communicate their health status effectively. And if you were reading these AMAs of what Bill Gates was saying, he was saying, "Oh, we need something. We need," he's scratching his chin. If there was only an easier way to do this. Well, the world's most second richest man in the world or whatever. Him and his think tank went through this article. He was friends with these people who wrote these articles. I'm pretty sure the people who worked in this situation are now working with the elites. Whether they be under Bill Gates's office or whatever office, ultimately they were working for the elites of Esau Edom. And you ain't gonna tell me that, this guy in 2007, he did all this information that we're seeing right now what Bill Gates is talking about, and then he just got forgotten in history. Well, I literally just, started Googling, second page of Google search, I actually found this article. So the second richest man in the world obviously knows about this situation, this technology. Not this article per se, but he knows about this technology. Really, this technology has been on the books. It's just, the elites have been waiting for the perfect time to implement it, because they want the least amount of push for their new world order. All right, so I'm gonna end off on these scriptures. This is Psalms 64, verse 5. It says, "They encourage themselves in an evil matter." And this RFID microchip implant is an evil matter. Even though he comes to you crouching. I'm gonna remember a little bit about this. I'm not gonna read, but I know when I was reading this, they were making it sound like he's some highly esteemed gentleman. So, thank goodness we got Bill Gates helping us in this pandemic. That's how they were, stirring up the little paragraph right there. But anyways, it says, Psalms 64 and 5 says, "They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily," because, the elites, they're not going to tell you that the reason why they want to put this chip in you is so they could track you. They're going to give you a whole bunch of benefits, with the chip. But ultimately it's for a darker meaning. It's so that they could track you and be as the Most High. Alright, so it says they commune of laying snares privily. And if you take that RFID microchip, that's a snare, because as it says in the book of Revelation, 13:16, as he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And if you take that, there's a judgment. Now I'm actually going to read that last, because it's a precept to this as well. So you accepting that RFID microchip is a snare upon you. So continuing on, it says, "They say, 'Who shall see me?' They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search." And they've been doing this diligent search far longer than June 2007. This has been on the books for a good minute, and they're just adding pages to it. Okay, so continuing on, it says, both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So that arrow is talking about that final judgment, the thermonuclear missiles, which is going to cause America, which is known as Babylon, to become a lake of fire, because that's the judgment for taking the mark of the beast. Alright, so this is the judgment. This is Revelation 14:9. It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. So this third angel is saying to all you who want to take this chip, who want to go to Egypt for help, they want to go to Bill Gates to cure this so-called fake disease, real disease, or whatever. It says this is the judgment. Verse 10 says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High. Just as I was saying in Psalm 64:7, how the Most High is going to shoot him with an arrow. You're going to be hand in hand with them in that judgment. And continuing on, it says, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. That's talking about thermonuclear missiles. You look at, I'll go and get it, 2 Peter 3:10. So this isn't talking about a hell, a place you go after you die. So 2 Peter 3:10 says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. So you could say that this event, this cataclysmic event, is going to be hell on earth. But that little imaginary place, hell, isn't real. It's actually that lake of fire is talking about here in America when it gets judged. Alright, so that's the end of this video. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash, and Shalom Akim.